Hello, everyone. Welcome. I see some people trickling in. We will begin in a couple minutes, but in the meantime, please chat in the chat box where you are joining from and some topics that you're interested in learning about today. And make sure when you do chat, make sure you're chatting with everyone and not just the host and panelists. We'll give it another few seconds for people to join. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. Great. If you're just joining us, please use the chat box to let us know where you are joining from and what topics you're most interested in learning about during this session. And please make sure to chat with everyone, not just the hosts and panelists. And then you are welcome to reach out to me. I'm Lindsay Wolfsmith if you need help during the webinar. Go to the next slide, please. So welcome to our Teaching QuickBooks Online, important tips, tricks, and treats. Today we have our digital faculty consultant, Geraldine Eisenhower, who is an associate professor at Tulsa Community College. We're also joined by Steve Schutz, who is our executive portfolio manager here at McGraw-Hill. And myself, Lindsay Wolfsmith, I'm the marketing manager for our QuickBooks titles. So I will pass it on over to Geraldine, who's going to go over our best practices.
Hi, and thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Steve, for both setting this up today. I think this is, first of all, a fantastic course. And for those of you that are teaching accounting, whether that be at a four-year institution or maybe a two-year institution like myself, we are finding that this is a useful course, even if it's an accounting elective. We use it as part of our workforce development, but this course is phenomenal. And as they have moved this now completely to QuickBooks Online, it really matches up with what clients, at least from my end as a practitioner as well, what they're demanding from CPAs and accountants that are working their books. So welcome, and please utilize this time to ask questions. Our time together here is never limited, so you always feel free to reach out to any of us with questions or concerns or follow-ups. So today what we're really going to look at is the QuickBooks integrated in your course, integrated with Connect. So we have a lot of moving parts with this tool, and I want to get you started with how to use this for students, how to work through this with students, and then of course there is support at every step along the way. So I hope that you find questions that you might have or comments and really dig into how you can utilize this within your course. And of course, I'll give you best practices along the way. So we're going to start by, I can't see you, but you can put up your hands if you want. I know instructors sometimes struggle with how do I connect all of these things. So I guess I will say start with Connect. So for the QuickBooks Online, you will select a textbook, which Steve is going to speak to some options, some great options towards the end of our little webinar. But you choose a textbook, and my best practice is set up your course. And if you want ideas on how to set that up, I'm always willing to share my course with you. And of course, McGraw-Hill always has their pre-built courses that they can copy over to you as well. So you'll start with Connect, and then most of us work through an LMS, and whatever that is. I use Blackboard. So if I say Blackboard, I'm really saying LMS today. So make sure your LMS is ready to go, paired. We can help you with that. If you deploy, of course, we know all these things. So right now, this sounds like this is a pretty normal course, right? We have Connect, help, really, that's our accounting homework management system. It's phenomenal. And then all the other resources, we supply them through our LMS. Okay, two more things. So we're going to get our feet involved now, where you are going to need emails. And I'm going to tell you why, but you will need student emails. And I really want to say university or institutional emails would be the best practice. But I'm going to tell you why. So as you're taking notes, you have Connect, you have your feet going, your LMS, and your email. And today we're going to throw in our other hand with QuickBooks. So it is independent. It's super easy to navigate. And the more I get into it with students, it's enough. And it's a great resource to really reinforce all those financial accounting concepts for sure that we've talked about, and advance them to a higher level application. All right, so here is our focus, will be QuickBooks. All right, I want to point out that most of you are, I'm sure, familiar and probably, like myself, very dependent on the resources that McGraw-Hill provides us as instructors. So this course, that I'm going to focus on today is, I'm really looking at the K book, but I will bring in the yacht option. But I just want to point that you as an instructor will be supplied a lot of these resources as you move through course, library, and instructor resources. And I'm going to show you that live today. So where do you start? And this is a question I had to ask myself when I taught this for the first time. But this is even more important now, is, do you have access to the educator portal? So if you are thinking, I have no idea what that is, I don't know, absolutely fine. You will use, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we can share these slides with them, right? Yes. You need some of these? Okay. So this will be the website you would go to if you say, I have no idea what she's talking about, or no, I do not. But if you do, you would go to this web address. And I'm going to go live, so don't panic. I'm going to show you all of these things. These links do work. I tried them both actually yesterday. So this is where you start, and you must set yourself up. And I would recommend, as a best practice, that you set it up for the institution in which you are providing instruction. And I would even go further to say, if you adjunct at multiple colleges, I do as well, I find that setting them up and keeping them separate keeps me more organized. All right, so that's kind of step one, and we're going to go live, and I'm going to show you this. And then part of step one is, how does all of this work? And I don't have time to really dig in and show you a lot of videos today, but I just wanted to provide these links for you because I find myself using them a lot for myself and with other instructors that I have the privilege of working with. These videos are phenomenal and will help you understand how the portals work for you as an educator. So I wanted to point out where those would be located once you get into the class, and I'm going to show you that specifically. And I am going to show you how to set up a class. So notice over here in my navigational pane, I call it my Navi pane, we have 3 options where you have home, classes, and demo companies. To set up a class, you would click on this class button. And I want to back up and say, this class I set up a class for every class I have in Connect. So say you set up your Connect Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and maybe you have a Tuesday, Thursday. So in Connect, you would have 2 separate courses, 2 separate sections, right? So for the same in QuickBooks, when I say class, I want to mirror a class with the Connect course. So again, that helps you stay organized, and you're going to see as you can go in live and help students, it really narrows down how many students will be in your base if you can, group them by class to match Connect. So we're going to get into how you set up a class. Again, that's going to mirror your Connect course, which would mirror your LMS section. So it's as simple as adding a class and what you're going to call the class. Typically, I would name it the same as what I have in my Connect section. And then once you set up the class, if you're taking notes, this is the big one. You must invite students. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I have done it both ways as I practiced and gone live with this. There are 2 different ways. So whatever fits your user style, it's painless. And McGraw-Hill, within this, in using QuickBooks, there is a template that you can actually just import your student contacts and send them an invite. So after you import your students and you send them an invite, you're going to set up a company name. And here's a couple of examples, depending on the title, where you would name your company. And why not look at this slide? Because I can have a slide deck, and this is very comforting to have a step-by-step instruction, but I want to go live. And if there's any questions, Lindsay or Steve, just stop me and I can back up or show you how to do something again. So let's go live and let's stay calm, because this is not hard. So what I've done is I copied the link that I showed you, maybe slide 3, 4-ish, where it said, if you have an instructor account, go here. So that's what I did, and put in my password and logged in. All right. I am ready to start teaching QuickBooks Online, let's say an 8-week course, spring 2023. What do I do? Help me, right? You have your Connect ready to go, you have your LMS ready to go, but I want to just say we're not completely there yet. So I would recommend that you set up your class and invite your students as a best practice at least 1 week before classes start, or about a week before classes start, and give them grace to make sure that they can get into the system. So like I pointed out, we will move to our classes tab over here. And I have one class already set up. This is my TCC master course. And I have the best student in it, Daisy Duck and Minnie Mouse. So they're advanced. You're going to see over here for sections or courses that you already have set up, This, my best student, maybe isn't so best. They have not activated. Daisy Duck is doing phenomenal. She's already activated. Minnie Mouse is not. So this is a prior class. And I just wanted to show you how you could gauge your students. But let's really focus on adding this new class. So again, I'm going to click Add Class. And I am going to call this QuickBooks Online Spring. And maybe some of you teach this in an 8-week. And I'm going to just add class. You are going to receive a prompt. So it says you need to add students. So I've set up my class. Now I need to add students. And this is where I want to show you. You can manually type in first and last name in their email. And I communicate with my students and tell them ahead of time, you will be receiving an invitation from me that will look something like this. And I do a screenshot. This email, this invitation will go to your institutional account because that's what I put in here. So you can add students manually, or you can download this sample template, which I have already downloaded, and fill in the roster as such. Once you fill it in, save it, and then you can click and drag it into this area and it will upload. Most of the time I work with instructors, they say, I don't want to do that, but I would encourage you to try it because it does work. Okay. Now, as you upload this, let's just put in, I'm going to add a student manually, and I am going to add Lindsay Wolf Smith, and I'm just going to type in, I don't think this is your email, is it? We're going to make one up.
Close.
Okay, so she is at Tulsa at my community college. So I am just going to add, you can keep adding on this particular instance for time's sake. I'm just going to save and close. All right, I have my class. I've invited my students either with the template or manually adding. We're not finished yet. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go in and say, I would love to invite you to my new company. And I'm going to put these over here because this will save us some time. So I click on Lindsay or any student you want to invite, and you can personalize an invitation for them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to invite her to my class using this particular company, which is in the K 3rd edition. I'm going to preview the invitation. And this is where I'm going to go over best practice later in the slides, but I would like to go ahead and show you something I've learned so far. So I do edit the email content, you guys. I do. So what I'm going to do is what you see here is what's going to the student. All right. But what I have found is I'll even put it on myself. That is a lot for me. That is 7 points. And so sometimes if you can't do it in 3 to 5, it doesn't get done. So what I'll do is I will condense it in this format. I'm going to show you how to do this. So I might say, accept the invitation. Now sign up, and I actually direct them to their ebook immediately. And I make sure that I am, as part of the setup, their accountant. And I'm going to show you why you want to tell them that. So how you do that is in this little box right here, I can actually edit this information. So I'm going to edit this, and Steve and Lindsay might hit me with a bat. But what I do is I actually delete all of this. And I'm going to tell you why. I say go, maybe we should say, please go to page 11. I don't know, I think it's a 429 or something like that, a 429. Because I have gotten questions, well, I went to page 11. Well, they're seeing the physical book on screen versus the digital. So I have found, this is just a tidbit, if I put 11 of the full page number, question's gone. All right. So I say go to 11 of page 429 in your ebook. Here you go. So why do I do that, guys? Number one, the ebook is updated. All right. That's going to be your most recent, quote, copy of the book. Number two, it gets them in their ebook simultaneously while they can still work in Connect and in QuickBooks. Because what they're going to be doing in QuickBooks is found in their ebook. And so it really gets them used to going to the ebook and having the concept of working with step-by-step instruction with QuickBooks Online. So that is why I tell them immediately, utilize that ebook.
Geraldine?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to do anything specific to allow, for the system to allow you to edit that email? I'm seeing a question of instructors not being able to edit the email.
Okay, that is a great question. When you guys, you should have a button here that says edit. I'm going to save email changes.
There it is.
So if you'll click this button that says edit email content, if you start clicking here, this part is locked in, kiddos. If you scroll down, you can edit the message. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just, I hope that answered your question, but you cannot edit the top. So you can't say like, ooh, your awesome instructor has invited you. Or, so you have to just, you can only edit the message. But you can put whatever you want within that message. I just condense it down to 3 or 4 steps. And like I said, I'm going to show you another best practice, another little tidbit of language that I put in there that I think is very beneficial. But you just save your email changes, and then you're going to send your invite to Lindsay. This little icon will tell you, hey, you have invited Lindsay. If it continues to stay blue, you may resend it as class starts approaching. And I do give my students full grace that first week so we can, get in some wiggle room and I can go in and help them. Okay, so this is your portal, your educational portal where you're getting in to set up a class, put in your students, invite your students. That's how you get started. So now your students can go live and work within the company that you select. And I will say as a best practice, I think that the companies within QuickBooks as a beginning level are enough. And that's what I would start with. Okay. I'm going to jump back into our PowerPoints unless there's any more questions, Steve or Lindsay, with getting started.
I don't think so. And for those who don't have an account, I just posted the link to signing up for an educator portal account and access to the instructor, the accountant version of QuickBooks Online in the chat box.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to pull this back over. And again, we talked about editing your invitation, and you can make that, full of your own personality. So let's talk about how you work. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because as I'm watching some of these questions, a lot of you have used this, but I do want to reinforce the comfort of now working online in that you can go in and view an audit log for every student, tracking what they've done, what they've changed, how long they've worked. So let's take a look at that. So when you are instructing a student, if you can't see their account, please make sure that they have added you as an accountant. This is from a student view. I have found in the students I have invited, I always show up in their account. If you're finding that you're not, I add the language in my startup menu. That's one of the first things now I put in there. Please make sure that I am your accountant. And if I'm not, add me with this email. And then we're going to take a look at the audit log, which will allow you to look at their accounts directly.
Hey, Geraldine.
Yes.
So when you are looking at that page with all the students and their first company is set up, so you know that they've accepted the invitation and set up their first company.
Yes.
At that point, they are set up as your accountant. Have you ever had a problem when they were set up as a company and they were not set up as
Never.
their accountant? Okay.
Never.
That's a good check right there, right? Is to just make sure that all the students have that first company set up, and then they're off and running and you can see their work as their accountant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at Daisy. Daisy has a question. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go live now. Notice I'm pulling up a new tab here into Daisy's account. And if Daisy tells me I have worked hours and weeks and I pull up her account, I can verify that. So what we're going to utilize, like we talked, but I just showed you in the slides and I know it was fast, is we're going to go over to our little settings wheel. And I notice I am in Daisy Duck. Okay, this is Daisy Duck's company. So I know that sounds fictitious. That would say maybe Lindsay Wolfsmith's company or Geraldine Eisenhower's company. But what I'm going to do is, I know I'm in her account. I'm going to go to the audit log. And this is going to allow me to see what she's done, changes she's made. And I know this is her. So I don't know that she's done anything. Let's see. There we go. So immediately I can see, okay, she signed in, she's completing the information, and there wasn't a lot of work done in this. I'm not using my live students because of names, and you guys get all that, the protection things. So we had to do some fictitious setup here. But my point is, you can go see and view anything that she has done. And this is where I feel like you can do a video for students saying, this is what we need to change. This is what we need to, this is where I see you went in error. This is what led you astray. But this is how you can see what a student has done. There's not a lot in here. So again, these are changing settings, but I just wanted to show you how you would look at that. You can even narrow it down by transactions, or maybe she acts at, oh, I deleted something. But all that would be listed here. Again, that was settings and audit log. And I don't want to spend a lot of time with that because I think it's pretty intuitive. I would just make sure that you're communicating with your students every step along the way, because if they get too far, it can be a huge project for you. But I've never really had that happen. And the reason being, because as you're working through this, again, I do want to point out that you'll be using Connect along the way. So the other types of support you can have through QuickBooks, of course, if you have something, a content issue, you can always visit with someone with McGraw-Hill, but make sure you're utilizing your QuickBooks support and that you're utilizing the QuickBooks update link. And I know Steve has some things to say, but I'm going to show you as a best practice how you can ensure students are making sure that they're getting the updates very timely. Because let's be honest, there have been questions that have come to me. The physical textbook doesn't match what they're seeing, or maybe there's a button that's off, or it's different. They must utilize the QuickBooks updates link. And I'm going to show you just a suggested way on how you can make sure they are checking for updates before they do any assignment. This is where I move into my best practice. This is a screenshot from my live course, and my first question, and this is not my written question, this is pulled from the publisher: have you accessed QuickBooks? And if they say yes and they haven't, because remember, you can check them, we have a problem. But I just want them to be really focused on, you must access QuickBooks. And you might get some questions. How? I sent you an invite. Can you send it again? That's human nature. Yes. And I showed you how you can resend that. So for best practice, I single out a question: have you registered with QuickBooks Online? And then this is how I organize my chapters, which is going to match up with the course McGraw-Hill would send you. I just call them different things, and I put the exercises in one chapter. They start off with SmartBook. I put in the exercises, and I'm going to show you what I do with those exercises. I give them a practice quiz, and then I actually give them another, it's weighted more, another full quiz that really reinforces, yes, they can follow instructions, but do they understand what they're doing? So
it sounded like you were going to a best practice for making sure students knew how to get to that QBO updates page.
yes,
So insert that in your course as a.
sure do.
Okay, I thought that's where you were going, but then you jumped over to the first question. So
we're going to, so what I do with the QuickBooks Online update, it is a link, and I give them instructions. I do provide that in LMS, my LMS. I'm going to show you, I provide it in Connect as well. But here's the kicker, because we're all humans, we're all busy. You see where I have start chapter 1. I am in an exercise. That is a question I built. And it says this: welcome to chapter 1. I want you to go, again, this looks the same, right? Go to page 21 of 419 in your ebook. Make sure you have completed these steps. Now proceed, because that's just the setup. Now proceed to page 29. Be sure you utilize chapter 1. Here's the question. I have opened my ebook above and I must track the QuickBooks Online updates as instructed using the link provided. There is the link again. So as a student, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not lost. I'm doing this exercise. I better get my ebook up, right? I'm going to be working in QuickBooks and oh my gosh, I forgot. I better check for updates. So this is what Steve was alluding to. This is a question I put in my assignment. And I'm going to show you where that is within my assignment. So again, we're moving out of QuickBooks, we're in Connect, and I always provide them this link right here, and I show them. So it's in multiple places. But what I want to point out, you guys, is for every chapter that I assign, 2, 3, let's take a look at 3. When I preview this, my first question, you guys, is start chapter 3. And I want you to go to, and it's the same thing, but you see, we're a creature of habit. The first thing they know, okay, I'm getting to the exercise. This is a big stake assignment. I need my ebook. I better get into QuickBooks, right? And I better check for updates. So if you start getting questions, oh, where do they go for the updates? There's inconsistencies. If you do this much overkill and you still get questions, you might get a couple. I think it's going to alleviate all those questions. It's a reminder that you're going to get started. And what's beautiful about this is this exercise right here, guys. This is what they're going to see in their ebook. They match. So I put that language in there because as you start working through your ebook, you're going to see a lot of these are matching in the ebook that you have. Okay, so they're going to start utilizing that as a great resource. So that is how I set up my course. If you want to know how to set up a question, it's fairly easy. And if we have time and someone wants me to show you how to do that, please stay on. But I do want to respect Steve's time. And I have a couple more things I want to share. All right, so right now, minions are my favorite. You are probably either like, I'm on board, I get this, or all right, I'm starting out with Connect, she said. I have a pizza, this is my favorite pizza in the world. I have my pizza box, there's nothing in it. Okay, that is Connect. You have to build your Connect course, right? You set up your LMS. Then let's work on the pizza because that is your QuickBooks. That is your QuickBooks Online. You have your QuickBooks Online, you get them started, right? But to get them started, there's several slices of things you need to do. You need to set yourself up if you're not set up. You must set up a class. You must add students. Then you invite students. Finally, the last piece of that slice is you monitor students, right? And provide them feedback. So there's not a lot to be confused about. I think once you get in it and start playing with it, you're gonna love it. And I just wanna close with what has saved me as an instructor is to utilize videos in those course, library, instructor resources for either title or whatever you're using. That's where you're going to find such useful information. These videos summarize everything I've told you today. These are found in the K text, and I did a little screenshot where you can see that. How the Educator Portal works is also a phenomenal resource if you're getting started, and that's okay. Or maybe you're training an adjunct to start. This is where I would direct them. So before I pass the baton to Steve, are there any questions that I can try to help answer?
There are a couple questions that we can take a moment to answer. One of which is the K textbook has in-chapter assignments. And so you kind of built them into your own assignment, but there are in-chapter assignments, and what the students need to do in Connect and answer in Connect are the same questions that are in the book, in the in-chapter material. So there are certain spots where Donna asked the student to kind of stop and think and answer a quick question.
Yes.
Those are the questions that students have to answer in the in-chapter assignments. And that is just a vehicle for making sure that students are going through and doing that in-chapter work before they go on to the exercises. Because what literally happens is that students need to go through the in-chapter work in order to advance the Mookie company, to be in position to go into and do the Mookie exercises, which are both kind of mandatory components that you need to have assigned for your students as you go through the first 10 chapters of the book. Those are the two kind of required components.
Yes.
And I think you're showing the, inside of some of these exercises, you're showing the exercise now, but in chapter, there are certain places it might be a hot dot, various areas where students are asked to kind of stop and think and answer a quick question. And when they do, those questions are the things they get asked inside of Connect to make sure they did correctly. And again, it's more of a vehicle to make sure the students are advancing their Mookie company through completing the entire in-chapter exercises. I can tell you that Donna is working on making that more clear in her next edition of the textbook, and those are actually going to be highlighted in a quick check feature so that it's very clear what students need to check to make sure that their company, their Mookie company, is where it needs to be at the end of completing each chapter.
Yes. And as an instructor, you can set up any style small bite assignments, as I call them, whatever fits your learning style, how you want students to work through that. And so as you go into, adding an assignment, just keep in mind the exercises are more geared towards, there's some that are geared towards Mookie, and then there's some that is the company, and then there's some that are just like the general concept, right? So if you were to assign accounts receivable, what type of account would that be? So just general concepts as you go. I actually assign them in one big assignment. So they have to work through the concepts first. And then they answer they work through the company first, and then they answer the general questions. You could break those out, you could reorder those, and every instructor has a different style. But what's awesome is that for whatever style of teaching you want to demonstrate in your classroom, those are available for you in whatever medium. You could do one as no points. I've had instructors say they just should be able to do this. And then I want the company to be worked as the main project. So if you have any questions on how to set those up, just feel free to reach out to the team.
And for those of you following chat, you'll see there was some question about where to find Carol Yacht's text updates. And, yes, there was an update back in February, but Carol's been posting more or less monthly updates and retagging that file. And I think the latest one is an August update. So if you go out to that page that I just posted in chat, you'll see and where to find updates and also where to bookmark students to find the latest updates for the yacht text.
Okay.
That said, there have been some questions about the differences between Donna's textbook and Carol Yacht's and Matt Lowenkron's textbook. So I'm going to just kind of jump into at a very high level some of the key differences. I do recommend going into each of these ebooks and seeing the writing style difference and seeing the approach difference. I think that both of these books are very popular with our customers, and each of these authors have very loyal followings with customers that have used the books. So if you would go ahead and advance to the next slide. Let's start with Donna's textbook. Donna is the shorter of the two books. It has 598 pages, it's 10 chapters, and then the 10 chapters are followed by one big comprehensive project that you can assign after going through the 10 chapters. Now, so with the new portal, you can assign multiple, you can provide students with multiple companies. Donna's book in the 3rd edition only used 2 companies. There is one, the first 10 chapters used Mookie the Beagle, as I mentioned earlier. And again, for doing those, you must assign the in-chapter work and then the exercise material to go along with it. Then she changes into a second company. So students, you'll have to actually send a second company for students to use the chapter 11 and the Mookie the Beagle coach. And they'll have to set up that company through the portal, through an invitation in the portal again. And once they go into that, and the directions are within that chapter 11 comprehensive project. And again, they're going to have to change now from the Mookie concierge to the Mookie the coach company when they do the work for that comprehensive project. So text resources, it has Connect resources rather. SmartBook 2.0 gives you online reading assignments. Again, the in-chapter assignments are built so that you can keep students on that march through 10 chapters. Then there are exercises that are general. Those you don't necessarily have to assign, but the Mookie exercises are necessary to assign to keep your students on pace. There are practice quizzes, and then there's a test bank in Connect for doing your assessment type material. Now, Donna does align, I should say, her textbook with the latest certification objectives when she writes the edition. Those objectives continue to evolve, and so it's closely aligned with the certification objectives for each edition that she republished. From a pedagogy standpoint, Donna's book uses a 3-step, what she calls XMP approach for learning. And so XMP stands for Explore, Practice, Master, and I guess maybe I have that wrong, it's XPM. And so Explore is the in-chapter work, the practice is the exercise work, and Master is more that project that is the comprehensive project. She also uses, she takes a step-by-step approach, but she uses less screenshots, but more hot dots showing students exactly where in the screens they should be looking for the various steps. So she uses that hot dot type of approach for keeping students on par with the step-by-step instruction. And then she also uses what she calls a stat map feature to help students understand where they are in the process, either setting up settings, transactions, or working with reports. So at a high level, that's kind of the outline of this textbook. Now moving forward, go ahead to the next slide, if you would, Geraldine. Moving
Sorry.
back one more, back 2 more,
Sorry.
back 1 more.
One more?
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry.
So just wanted to let you know that. So Donna, when we published the 2nd edition, the 3rd edition, which this is the round cover, when we published the 3rd edition of the book, almost immediately after, there was some big updates that took place. And so we updated the ebook in late summer So if your students are using the ebook, they're using the most current version of the text. And we updated any Connect assignments that were affected at that point as well. In Donna's text updates page, it indicates which one of the items that fall in that text update has been already corrected within the ebook. So again, if you're sending your students to any form of the ebook, those corrections that are indicated in that text update page are already made in the ebook, which is a lot of the main changes that have taken place. So I would highly recommend having your students use the ebook versus the print. Moving forward, Don is working on a 4th edition, and that's going to be publishing in April, this coming April. So it'll be available for summer and fall use. If you can go back 1 second. So a couple things to notice, to know about the 4th edition is we had a lot of feedback that instructors really liked the ongoing project that went with each chapter. So there is going to be a 3rd company, a cybersecurity company, which will be a new project that will be assignable at the end of each chapter going across the first 10 chapters. Again, I mentioned that quick checks feature to try and make it more clear what students need to answer in Connect to stay in check with their in-chapter work. And updates will be be kept on be updated for the latest version of QuickBooks Online. But again, as we all have been talking in chat, the ongoing changes in the text are very hard to keep up with. So we're going to get to some questions of how you think we should publish in the future in just a few minutes here. If we can move on to the K text, and I can kind of highlight the highlights of this text. Now this is a longer text at 663 pages. It's 12 chapters, and then it's followed by 2 cases. So there are actually 3 companies used in this textbook. Company 1 is the student name sales and services company, and that's in chapters 2 through 10. Chapter 1 kind of uses a test drive, although that's not used consistently then. And then 11 in payroll and 12 for certification. So that's where that company is used. Then there are 2 cases, each using a separate company. So Your Name Accounting is case problem 1, and then this Tacoma Computer Club, which is case problem 2. Case problem 1 can actually be assigned after probably the first 5 or 6 chapters of the book, because it's kind of a shorter case, and then case 3 is a more comprehensive, or the Tacoma Computer Club Company 3 case is a more comprehensive case. Text resources here, we have SmartBook 2.0, the in-chapter assignments again, which uses the check your progress for checking the in-chapter progress, then exercises, analysis questions, quizzes, test bank, and then there's a certification Q&A set of questions in there for certification prep as well. Carol also aligns her book with the latest certification objectives as she works on each revision. Pedagogy here is step-by-step approach with a sequence of screen captures, a lot of screen captures to keep students on pace, probably leading to a lot of the difference in page length. Carol has also introduced the DAVE feature, which is data metrics, analysis, and visualization evaluation. It's kind of it's emphasizing the dashboard graphics that students use in QuickBooks Online for more analysis with this DAVE feature. Moving on, one more slide, Sherilyn. So moving forward with this book is there's going to be an ebook update coming in December. So Carol and Matt are working on updating the changes in the ebook right now, and it'll be pushed out in December for spring use. So it'll cover all of the updates that she has posted in the updates page, and just more or less bring the ebook up to spec so students can have the latest and greatest going into the spring term, without having to continually run into textbook updates that we know have taken place. The Connect assignments are being updated again as necessary for those updates. So everything should be in lock-sync with the latest version of QBO come end of December for your spring courses. Now, moving forward with this author team, we have a lot less print users and more Connect and ebook users with this book. So the authors are taking an approach that they're going to continue to focus on releasing twice a year ebook updates. So in July and in December each year. So each main semester, you'll have an update of the ebook that students can use that will be the most aligned with the latest version of QBO. So the approach here is going to be the December releases will only focus on updates that have taken place in software. The July release will focus on kind of standard text revision type updates, as well as addressing any software updates to the, to align with the latest version of the software. So those are kind of the higher level differences that are between these two books and our plans moving forward. So with that said, I kind of hit on a question here that we're very curious and would like your opinion about. And that is, this is a market where QuickBooks is constantly changing, and I could see the frustrations in chat of trying to keep up with, the changing software with the students. And, Geraldine spoke to some best practices of how to keep them aligned with the updates. But, from a publishing standpoint, trying to keep our materials as up to date as possible, it's nearly impossible to publish dynamically as each update's coming out, but we do have a couple of approaches that we're looking at, but it really depends on what you as customers prefer. So one approach would be a 2-year revision strategy with annual ebook updates. So each year we'd be updating the ebook, and every other year we'd update print. Again, that's assuming that print is still in demand. A 1-year revision strategy where we just update the textbook and ebook every year. So the text and ebook stays as current as possible, but it's really for fall. And what we've been finding out is that usually by the time the book comes out, we're already behind with textbook, with textbook updates on our page. Or are you comfortable with more of a twice yearly ebook revision and more or less not having print revisions? Those are 3 different ways that we could do that. So Lindsay, can you open up the poll so everyone can answer this question, and we can get some information from everyone in attendance on what they would like to do?
Yes, so we're going to ask the K users first what their preference is. So if you are a K user, please let us know if you would prefer option 1, 2, or 3. And then we'll ask our yacht users next. Give it a few more seconds on
And
that.
if you're not a user and you just would like to chime in and vote on how you prefer us, please do on either one of these.
Give it a few more seconds. All right. I'll share the results.
You kind of see them coming in live there. Looks like most folks would like to go to ebook updates and forego print, but there's still a good more than 60% and more than 59% are interested in still having print options.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask the yacht users next which option they would prefer. Looks like our yacht users are in favor of the 3rd option, the ebook, most of them. Give it a few more seconds. And 70% of our yacht users prefer the ebook.
Very good. Well, that's very helpful, and we appreciate your feedback, and we're again trying to keep our content as up to date as possible, especially given the rapid kind of evolution of the QBO software and how fast they push out new updates that can cause concerns and student confusion and confusion for all of us. So thank you for that feedback. I think we're almost at time here. And Lindsay, I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to say, but I definitely appreciate your feedback. We'll capture this chat. Hopefully we've answered most of the questions. If there are unanswered questions, we'll try and get back to you. But thank you so much for attending today. I hope you learned some good practices, and we appreciate your feedback.
And I just provided a link where I go, someone asked for certification. So I compared this course to maybe like a principal course. And someone said students have said this doesn't prepare them for the certification. And I would probably agree with that. It would be like going to take the maybe a bookkeeping examination. I think CPA exam's too far after taking one course. So this is the link I provide in my LMS for students. And I really direct them to, there's a resources tab and a training and certification tab. So this will give them some ideas on what trainings are available if they want additional trainings. But this course, the QuickBooks course that we spoke to today, will give them the baseline. And then, yes, probably additional trainings. And there's a lot of free trainings that are available. So I provide those as well. But this would be probably the main site where I would send them so that they can be comfortable with what are the requirements to take it and what can they expect. So I put that in the chat. You're welcome.
Well, again, thank you for attending today, and we appreciate your interest and your use of our books technology.
And if you guys have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to us. And that's what we're here for. And it's been great pleasure in having you guys join in today.
Yes, thank you everyone for your time. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.